What is up, YouTube? It's your girl Sabby, and today we're going to talk about a new update coming to The Sims. You know, I like to do these little updates when I hear about them, and I came home today after having my day of touching grass, which at this point is rarely once a week, but to loading into my game to see that we are going to be getting a major patch update on the 18th. And for some of us, this is exciting, and for some of us, this is terrifying because we have done nothing but have broken games since the August 20th Enchanted by Nature update. It has just been chaotic. And here's the thing. I'm speaking to my vanilla game players and my mod players because this is my scenario. This is my thought process on it. If you are a vanilla game player, you just want the game to work. Like, low key, you pay for these expansion packs that offer or say they offer gameplay, and at the end of the day, you want that to be true. The For Rent pack was one of my most hyped gameplay packs. And as you know, when I started my simming journey, I wasn't much of a game player, but that was the one expansion pack that made me think like, oh my gosh. And let me tell you, I loved the living heck out of it until it started to break my game. And it has been the #1 culprit to a lot of normal vanilla gameplays, no mod users getting their games broken. And it's just unfortunate because that pack cost me $40 as much as it cost anybody else $40. And so if you are a mod player, the thing that I also love about The Sims is that you have so much flexibility with how the game is played. I recently just started dabbling in machinima creation. I love that you can build anything that you want. You can create any character with any backstory. And there are a plethora of mods in the world that allow you to play out your biggest fantasy, your biggest dreams with your sim if you want to. But the other thing is there are a lot of mods that actually help the game work the way that it's supposed to. So even if you're a light mod user, I would consider myself a light mod user. I have my mods listed below, but I use maybe 4 or 5, and the main ones are basically MC Command Center and UI cheats. And I think those are just like inevitable. You need those in your game, whether you really like mods or not. But what I am is a big CC user. I love CC, and that is what is so fun about The Sims to me, is that you can really create and customize your game and your characters the way that you want. So what is exciting about this update is that EA is once again promising huge things, that they are going to update the game so that it's actually playable, which means if you are a light mod user and you've been using mods to fix the game so that you can play it as it's meant to be, that is fantastic news. If you're somebody who is a heavy mod user and you're somebody who creates machinimas and likes realistic gameplay and likes a lot of the in-depth things that mods create, this is terrifying. And I say this because I have built and rebuilt my entire forever save. Yes, literally my forever save from scratch for 5 days in a row, because every time I would get to a good midway point to get it back to where it was, I wouldn't be able to load into my game. And that is highly frustrating. Again, I can't blame EA because I am a mod user, but when my actual game sucks because it doesn't play the way that it's supposed to, and I utilize mods to help with my gameplay, then it's extremely frustrating. So that is just my viewpoint on it. I'm not sure if you agree or disagree. You can let me know in the comments below, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get into what we can expect with the EA's quality of life roadmap. I will go ahead and link this website below so that you can view all of this information yourself, but we're going to just quickly skim over what EA is presenting to us as an opportunity to fix what's broken. On September 18th, we can expect that PC and Mac will be getting a base game update earlier than expected. They're pulling it forward so they have time to catch bugs before the new expansion packs drop. September 23rd, console players, you're up next. Same update, just a few days later because of platform verification. For modders specifically, EA is releasing the TDESC files ahead of time in the Discord so they can prepare for mods and CC, basically less chaos when Adventure Awaits happens, which is really exciting. That is great news that they're going to give this information early so that, you know, those of us that are using mods are not having to wait for people to get the information information to update. With that being said, be nice to your modders because they have lives too. In October, that is when the Adventure Awaits expansion drops. EA says that they'll be monitoring closely to fix issues, so we'll see. And then in November, they're going to offer up more bug fixes and free content for all players. No details on what the freebie is, but you know, free is free, so we love that. We gotta love the little dag. So here's why all of this is exciting, because honestly, for me, like I said, the mod situation is really great. I think letting the modders know in advance what's going to be going down so they actually have time to personally prepare. Again, like, be nice to your modders. They have lives. They're not just like revolving around sim mods and sim expansion packs and sim bug updates. But I really appreciate that they're making the extra effort. I know there was a lot of backlash from the community when everyone's game started breaking, because it was like all the vanilla players against the mod players being like, well, don't have mods in your game and it won't break. But then it was like, then the vanilla players were like, well, actually my game won't load either. At the end of the day, we all love the same game no matter how we play it. And I think it's really special and unique that we all get the opportunity to play it the way that we want to, and that there's so much flexibility, and there's really a community for everyone. There's family game players, spicy game players, there's dramatic game players, there's people who only make machinimas. I mean, there are vanilla game players, mod game players. I mean, the list goes on, and it's just really unique and fun and interesting that we can kind of come together with just the base of The Sims 4. In the end, you can find your little niche, but we all still play The Sims 4. What also is great is that EA is finally acknowledging all of the technical issues and bugs that have been ongoing that Simmers have been created. If you've watched the recent trailer for the Adventure Awaits expansion pack, and pretty much anything ever in the history of America that EA releases on socials, there is nothing but shade in the comments of like, we don't want new shit, we just want our game fixed. And I feel that more and more. Like, when I first came back to The Sims, I was like, damn, the Sims community is angry. But at the end of the day, now that I'm in it and I spend, you know, upwards of 12 to 14 hours a day, depending on, you know, if I'm building a series or what I'm doing for my content, or if I'm just wanting to relax and play the game myself, there are so many issues and there are so many things that get in the way of just actually enjoying the game itself. Whether you're a mod or a vanilla user, there's just complexities that ruin things. I know there's been a lot of creators, modded or not, and users that have had their games negatively infected by the Ferent pack that have lost really valuable long-term saves. And so even with this newest update, little Simsy, luckily she backed up all of her files, but she would have had all of her saves corrupted because of the pack selector. So, you know, I appreciate the work that's coming from EA, but I also think that we deserve more. It's a I think it's like a $38 billion company. And I'm really hoping that for the first time ever, they're actually listening to the community and saying, listen, like, we're done. And I would have to anticipate, I haven't looked up the records, but I would have to anticipate that the Enchanted by Nature was not a super win. And it's probably why we're getting another expansion pack so quickly. I am really excited for the expansion pack, but I think that we all have this kind of like mixed review of like, you want to be excited, but we have been unfortunately disappointed time and time again when a new expansion has come out and it's broken our game, or it hasn't lived up to the hype of the expectations. After playing, you know, Enchanted by Nature for about a month, I think that the Enchanted by Nature pack was really fun. I think it's too occultish, meaning like if you're not hardcore just trying to play in Fairyland, then it's not for you. And I mentioned that in my early on preview of the game, that like, I don't know if this is going to be for everyone, but I think playing as a fairy and getting to enjoy the world that it comes with is really fun. But outside of that, I'm tired of ailments. I'm glad that they released something that I could shut all that shit off and keep fairies in Fairyland, because unless I'm doing a fairy let's play, I don't want to play with fairies. The other thing that's great is they're going to be giving us free stuff, which, let's be honest, free stuff from EA is usually like a hat. So like, please let's not be a hat, like just anything but a hat. I love to get free stuff, so I'm really hoping that it's something that is going to really add value and is going to feel unique and feel like you're grateful to get it, because it is just so fun and different and special, and it's not just a generic piece of, you know, cast equipment that we're, you know, never going to put on our sim. Getting into the fine print of it, whenever there is a new expansion pack that comes out, there's new bugs. So even though the Sims team is trying to get ahead of the game to be able to get a tackle on these bugs, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to have new bugs. And it also doesn't mean that the bugs that we have been complaining about for, at this point, years are going to be the priority to be fixed. I think this is just EA's way of saying, hey, we hear you loud and clear, but whether or not we know how clear they've been hearing us is going to determine what happens on September 18th and going forward. So, and if your issues are coming from a mod, or, you know, if mod users are having issues, just note that that doesn't necessarily mean that EA is going to support those types of bugs. So mod players, you're basically on your own, which we all know this. This is the risk that we take when we decide to download mods or custom CC or whatever. Just keep that in mind, that just with new expansion packs, bugs come along. And unfortunately, you know, back in the day, big companies like EA would hire playtesters, and they don't do that anymore, which is unfortunate. They use us. So they don't put the expansion packs on sale. They just release them at full price, and they expect for us to play them and then report back with bugs, which is unfortunate. We do get rushed packs when that happens, and therefore we don't really know how things interact. The other thing that is hard is that because there are so many DLCs and so many expansion packs, not everybody owns every pack. So you might have, like for myself, I own every single pack. So if something's going to break, it's going to break. But maybe there is a significant difference when you have for rent and get to work mixing together. If you're somebody who doesn't have get to work, maybe your for rent works well. You know, like there's so many complexities when it comes down to the amount of different scripts that are trying to speak to each other that create different bugs. And that's why I always find it interesting. Like when I'm trying to find an answer to something, there's people arguing on Reddit like, well, I have that and I'm not having that issue. It's like, okay, but do you have every single expansion and kit and, you know, whatever that I have? No, you don't. So just note that it doesn't necessarily mean that everything's going to be fixed, and it doesn't mean that there's not going to be new situations where there are bugs to come. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here, but I'd love to know your thoughts below. If you think that EA is actually going to follow through this time, like, does this feel promising to you, or does it feel like EA is just, you know, dangling the carrot in front of us so that we get hyped to potentially spend money on the new pack because we feel heard and taken care of? I'm really hoping that EA is going to follow through, and I'm hoping that this is a big change for the Sims 4 community going forward. I won't know that until I start to see some action. I think that's kind of all where we all are as Simmers at this point in the community. If you are somebody who regularly watches my channel, I just wanted to say that unfortunately I probably won't post or be able to film any videos that pertain to The Sims because right now I'm unable to get into my game. I've removed all my mods. My game has got the endless loading screen, and so I have no access to be able to get to the gallery, to be able to show you any of my gallery creations that I love. I have no access to just about anything. So I do have a pre-filmed machinima, which I really wanted to include in my first episode of my new Let's Play, but I might release that just as a little bit of a sneak peek and a hype to look forward to. But without further ado, I will see you guys in the next one.